So welcome. This is the very first podcast for Travel with Wendy.
Yay!
I am happy to have my good friend here, author, speaker, avid adventurer, Bruce Martin.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
You make me sound like really exciting.
Well, good friend too.
Yes.
We've known each other for quite a long time.
Long time.
So I'm super happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about Born2beWild. Tell me a little bit about it. When did it start?
I started it back in 2003. It's interesting, the whole way that got started was, I've always loved the outdoors, so I was always hiking, but most of the stuff that I did was car camping. Then in 2003, I did my first backpacking trip with a buddy of mine, Mark Booth, and I just loved it. And about the same time, I was reading a book by John Eldridge, Wild at Heart, and it just all came together, and I'm like, my goodness, what a great place to do discipleship. More and more people need to get outside, away from cell phones and technology and everything that kind of surrounds them. And there's nothing like an immersive environment when you take people out into the wilderness, away from all the trappings of normal life. Mm-hmm. They can really hear the voice of God in a unique way, and they connect with other people in a unique way. So I started in the fall of 2003 and had 30 people.
Wow.
On there, which is way too many. I don't do trips. That's too. Oh my gosh! Not only that, but it's too hard to keep track of that many people. So we divided up in like 3 groups of 10 each. It was crazy. But that's how we got started.
I only did 6 to 8 people on my trips.
Good call.
I tried to do 30 to 60 one time, and I just about lost my mind.
Yeah, my favorite group size is about 12.
About like 15 is the max I can have out there. Otherwise, I lose my mind.
Yeah, super cool. Yes. So, okay, where have you hiked most recently?
Most recently, I was just thinking about that. Bald. So it's in the Nantahala National Forest, and it's on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
So you have Bald and you have Bald, and both of them have these kind of iconic fire towers that you can actually go up in. One's a stone fire tower that you can go up in and see incredible views, and then the Western Tower is one of the older metal frame ones with a wood platform up top. But when you get up there, the views are just amazing.
Really?
So that was the most recent one that I've done.
Yeah.
Did you hiking poles and stuff?
Oh yeah, I always use hiking poles. So a lot of people, even when I did a training hike yesterday for a group that we're taking out in a couple of weeks, but I always tell them.
Where was that?
We did that up on the Huntsville Land Trust, the Bankhead Parkway, and just took them on the old railroad bed trail.
Yeah.
I love that trail just because it's historic. But I was explaining that trekking poles, they're great for, helping balance.
Hill and mud and all that, but I love them best for going uphill
Yeah.
because it makes you a quadruped.
Yes.
So your arms are literally pushing about 30% of your weight, and your legs are doing about 70%. And it makes a big difference when you don't have poles because your legs are doing 100% of the work. So I've always got hiking poles no matter what the
Okay, so hiking pole tip would be to get poles that...
Get them sized for you to begin with. So an idea of how to size them, because I don't like adjustable poles for this reason. Okay. Almost all the adjustable poles, if you're on a long trip, they start losing adjustment.
Okay.
So they slide and slip. So I have poles that break into 3 sections. It's all connected. You want your elbows just slightly lower than your hands.
Okay.
And that way you know this is the pole height that I need. And it's best, like Black Diamond has them, you can buy them in exactly that size. If
That's
you
awesome.
use the trekking poles that are adjustable, make sure it's the clip lock ones,
Okay.
not the twist ones. The
Yeah.
twist ones inevitably go bad after about a year.
That's
The
awesome.
clip locks will.
Yeah. So how many days and nights are your trips?
So 2 to 7 days. So the 2-day trips,
Those are called Backpacking 101. So I take people out that have zero experience in backpacking. Some of them have zero experience in hiking. Most of them rent equipment for me for those kind of trips. But this is just really an overnighter. I'll take them places like Walls of Jericho, where you kind of go in, it's a 3-mile hike in, you see the waterfalls, we make camp that night, then get up the next day and then hike back out. So it's very doable. The whole thing takes about 24 hours. That's on a Saturday, Sunday. And then when I go on the Appalachian Trail, it's typically 3 and 4 day trips where we're out there 3 days, 2 nights, or 4 days and 3 nights. And that's what I call the rhythm of the trail, which I just love. And then I do some epic trips that are 7 days.
Okay.
So that's a week on the trail. So 7 days, 6 nights, which I thoroughly love because your group really connects, obviously, on trips like that. But there's something about being out there that long.
it's like a reset, Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes several days just to detox from kind of city life, if you will. But when you get outdoors for like a week, it's amazing what it does in terms of
your system, your mind, and all
Do you
that.
have a favorite place?
Oh, absolutely. The high Sierras of California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done I've hiked out there every year since 2007, except for one.
Do you have the same starting point?
No, I'm all over. So the Sierras, I did a 460-mile trip 2 years ago in the Sierras. That was 6 weeks.
Okay, I'm super jelly about that.
Yeah, so we started up in the immigrant wilderness and came through Yosemite, and we went through like 7 different wilderness areas. I mean, it was amazing, including saw some incredible iconic stuff on the John Muir Trail, did the entire John Muir Trail. But the Sierras by far is my favorite. So that's a trip that I'm planning this year in July 18 and 25.
Okay.
Take a group into the Sierras and let them experience what I've grown to love.
And where can they find out information?
They'll find out information on my website, born2bewild.net. Born, the number 2, bewild.net.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about that again.
Cool.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that people face or have faced on the trail?
Yeah, weather's usually your big one.
So what I tell people is just be prepared for adventure. You never know quite what you're going to get.
So rain gear.
Oh, you always have to have rain gear. So if you're going in the mountains, even if it says there's a 0% chance of precipitation, take rain gear.
Yeah.
Because particularly if you have lightweight rain gear, the mountains, it just changes everything. There's precipitation going on all the time.
It's that way in the Alps too.
So last year we had a 4-day trip in the Appalachian Trail coming by the Elk River, and I had 5 ladies and 2 men on that trip. It rained 4 days straight. And listen, we had a blast. Because part of what you'll learn on the trail is your attitude, your mental state affects how you feel about everything. So I literally had everyone singing the Lego song, the Lego movie song, Everything is Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Trained them on that. So every time we're hiking in the rain or setting up in the rain, I'm like, everything is awesome, let's sing it.
And everyone will tell you. In fact, they gave me 5-star reviews at the end of that one. Like, this was a great trip, even though it rained for 4 days. So, but that wasn't the worst. The worst was March of 2018.
Where I literally had 21 people out there, which is more than I like to have out, and we had an ice storm on the first day. We literally, when we got out of the buses, because we were being shuttled up to this trailhead, there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it's blowing like whiteout conditions. So we hike in that for about 3 hours, and then about 5 o'clock, we're coming into camp. It's 20-something degrees, and it starts raining. So everyone's hair is freezing. I mean, literally like
lady looked like the ice princess. People are setting up their tents, and then literally the next morning we had like a ½ inch of ice.
And you're meaning to frozen.
Oh yeah, it's only meaning to breaking down camp. Because you're literally.
Oh gosh.
And then the next night we thought it was going to
get better. We hiked out of the ice storm. It was beautiful that day, but then we got to the next camping area. It was gorgeous, and the wind started. And by 7 o'clock, it was blowing at 40 and 50 miles an hour. I was like fleeing the tents, and it dropped down to 20 degrees again.
Oh God.
So
what?
That was challenging.
Did you finish?
Well, that was the only trip that I've ever taken that I've had to get people off the trail. I had 5 people that weren't able to continue on that one. 2 they didn't have everything on my gear list, and so clothing-wise, I give everyone a gear list. You really got to watch that carefully because even if you're pretty used to the outdoors, when you get serious, crazy conditions like that, there's certain kinds of gear, puffy jackets and other things that you've got to have. I had 2 folks that were just not physically prepared for the challenge. That first day just kind of wiped them out. And then one person in the ice storm had fallen and kind of blew out their knee.
Yeah.
So, but
but you asked about some of the worst conditions we've had. So a lot of them.
But most of the time.
Most of the time, it's just a lot of fun. You might get rain.
I love it when you get snow. Training.
I do training
hikes too.
Right, so that kind of, so what
I go through all of my gear and actually physically take it out of my backpack.
Yeah.
So people can see, here's what you need on the trail. And then I tell them, if there's something you don't have, holler at me. Because you can borrow that stuff from me.
Yeah.
Some people don't have any gear, and so they rent an entire set of gear, which they can do for $100. Instead of going out and spending $500 to $1,000.
Totally cool. Yeah.
Literally, I will set you up with everything that you need for a very successful hike. Because backpacking gear can get kind of expensive.
Yeah. Especially if you want the Gucci kind.
If you want the Gucci kind, I don't use the Gucci stuff. But minimally, when you think about a backpacking trip, a day hike you can just go out if you've got trekking poles and some water, you're good.
Yeah.
When you think of backpacking, the basics, you have to have a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a tent. You got to have a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad. The pad's very important. I've had people that just brought a sleeping bag out, but they don't realize how much cold comes up from the ground.
And you got the roots.
It's not just the hard surface, but you'll get a lot of cold from the bottom. So you have to have a tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, and something to cook with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so, and you don't, and that's not a must for some people because they'll just bring, you know, bars and protein bars and stuff like that. But I don't want to eat berries and twigs while I'm out there.
Yeah.
So I put together food kits for everybody when you come on
You
a
got
trip.
some pretty rockin' recipes now.
Oh my goodness, I've got amazing. On my
But you don't carry
460 mile
eggs,
trip.
right?
I do now sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Do
Because,
they make it?
oh yeah. Yeah, you got little plastic carriers you can put them in now. So you can save everything.
But literally on that 6-week trip that we did in the Sierras,
Yeah.
we learned how to make backcountry bread, starting with just flour and yeast and warm water.
That's so cool.
It was amazing. So yeah, I've got some amazing recipes. So when you go on a hike with me, you're going to eat good.
Okay.
So if it's 2-day or
Right.
a week long, you're going to
You're
eat.
gonna eat good on that trip.
Well, I've heard that you should have like the calories and a half on just like one day of hiking because
You will burn it.
burn it, especially if you're going up like the meters and then down the meters.
Right. So if a person's, I don't even know what average intake is.
I give you thousands and thousands of them because you will burn it fast
Yeah.
out there. So we make sure that everyone's got plenty of food, and then I encourage them to bring some snacks, high protein snacks or high sugar snacks. The sugar gives them some energy, like when you're going up a long uphill. But then for recovery, you've got to have protein because
Right.
you've got to, your muscles have got to have something that helps them kind of restore and rebuild overnight.
Yeah. So how do you plan a trip?
All right, so if a person's wanting to go backpacking, there's a couple of things you got to think about. The first, the number one step in Leave No Trace is plan and prepare ahead, which is a big deal. So you want to look at what's the trail that I want to do. And the great thing about the internet is you can get research done very quickly. So you go out there and you look at potential trails that you want to hike on, and then you download some maps.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to be able to look at mileages and stuff like that. How far do you want to go each day?
Look at the logistics of, is there a place to park? Can I park my car at the trailhead? Like sometimes when on the Appalachian Trail, you're going to start here, but you're going to finish 20 miles later. So you got to think about a shuttle. Who can get me
Do
a
your
shuttle?
hikers meet you at a certain point, or do they meet you here in
Some
Huntsville?
of them meet me in Huntsville, and then we work out kind of carpooling together.
Okay.
But my job
takes on when you get to the trailhead.
Okay.
So I help
Okay.
you once we get to the parking area. I work out shuttling. So if we have to have a shuttle that gets us back from the destination to the trailhead, stuff like that, I handle all of that. But then they got to think about camping areas. So where are we going to camp? And how far is it between camping areas? And does it have enough room for my tent? If it's raining, do we want to look at a shelter area? So those are the kind of things that I look at for people ahead of time. And then when you look at a camping area, you have to look at water. That's hugely important because you're out in the backcountry. There's not like water available.
Oh, right.
So you got to have a water filtration system, but you also have to make sure that there's different places along the way that you have water. So when I plan a trip, I'm looking for all the water sources, not only along the trail, but at different camping areas because you have to have water, big time.
So you are also a public speaker.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
I love it. You
Yeah.
know, I had a great talk with you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you were asking about what I'm passionate about. Love what I do with Born2beWild because I love the outdoors and I love to take people out there and experience adventure and I love the connection with God and others. But my number one love really is speaking.
Yeah.
So, and I've been a speaker for 25 years now. Absolutely love it. So just joined the National Speakers Association in the last month or so. I've been doing this
for a long time, and I'm like, I need to step up my game just a little bit.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I'm doing that too.
So tell me, what do you have coming up?
Well, a lot of things coming up right now. So at my other website, so this is BruceWMartin.com. You can see I've got a whole speaking calendar out there. But one of
the big things that I'm doing that I'm excited about speaking this year is the Scars of Hope tour. It's a keynote address that I've done 7 times now in different places, and it's one of those things, Wendy, that God just uses in a powerful way to really heal people from the scars of their past. You know, and in that talk, I just talk about how God can use those things in profound ways, not only to heal you, but to heal others. So next year, I'm hoping to be in 20 cities. Well, now it's this year. So this year in 20 cities to give that keynote address.
That's
So I've got 2 people locally that have already signed on for that. One in February, the other one will probably come in August.
Okay.
But I'll keep my website updated so people can kind of see where I am. I've got several events in Michigan
this year, and then in Wheaton, Illinois, in the middle of the summer as well.
Okay. Well, that's Illinois is pretty nice in the summer, I guess.
I think it's going to be hot. This is up in the Chicago area, so I mean I don't know what to expect. It's like the end of July, 1st of August. So I'm thinking it's going to be warm. That's just me though.
Yeah. Okay. And you are an author.
I'm an author.
So, and you're working on another book?
Yeah, so my first book, Desperate for Hope, that
Yes.
came out in 2012. That was published by Baker Publishing Group, and that's just been great. You know, it's helped a lot of people.
I love it.
over the. Thank you. And I still get emails, to this day. People going, hey, I just read your book. Thank you so much. This particular thing helped me. So, but I'm working on 2 other projects right now. One is a I'm co-writing it with my brother. It's called Unlearning Poverty. And this is kind of the journey of...
With Roger.
With Roger, yeah.
Excellent.
And what we learned, or really unlearned, about working with the poor, we had moved a church that I had planted in 2010. We moved it out of a suburban area and moved it into an urban area. Really the fourth poorest zip code in the state of Alabama. And we thought we knew kind of what we were doing, and we're going to help people, and there was just so much that we had to unlearn in that process. And so this book is really the 11 chapters that I've written so far, really the 11 things that I did wrong in the process.
But you know what they say, you learn more.
Well, you do. And on the other side of it, we realize there's some things that our neighbors that are struggling in vulnerable areas, they have to unlearn if they're going to escape the grips of poverty. So we're going to talk about both of those. My brother is talking about it from living in the neighborhood, because he lives right there in 35805. I'm talking about it from the perspective of a person who lives outside the neighborhood, but is coming in and building relationships and working with people.
Yeah.
And then
And so everything can be found on your website, though. Hiking,
yes.
the counseling, the books.
So it's two different websites, but they link to each other.
Yeah.
So a person can go to born2bewild.net, born2bewild.net, and then you'll see a little thing that says Bruce W. Martin, and when you click to that, it'll take you to everything about my speaking, everything about the counseling, stuff like that.
Okay.
So you can get to everything from one place.
Very cool. So, as a serial entrepreneur like myself, what do you got going on? What else?
Yeah, so my new thing, it's interesting that we're having this podcast thing going on right now. For years, people have been telling me, Bruce, you need to do a podcast, you need to do a podcast. So I'm like, all right, 2020. So I've got a conference call coming up with a podcast producer, editor person. It's supposed to be later today, we'll see. And the goal is to possibly start podcasting February.
Fun.
So about a month out from now, something like that.
Fun.
And so I'm already doing a blog, once a week right now, which is called A Word for the Week. But I thought, hey, if I added to that a podcast, so I'm talking about that word for the week, and they can read it as well. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Will you have a YouTube channel?
I'm working on that too. I have one right now. It's only got 2 videos on it. So the idea even with the podcast would be that we're gonna videotape it at the same time, so people can listen to it on a podcast, but they can also see it on a YouTube channel. That way I'm sort of knocking out 2 birds with one stone.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited
I
about it.
always love seeing what you've got going on.
Oh, well, I love seeing what you've got going on. The only person more busy than me is Wendy.
No, but I love it,
I know you do.
There's 2 speeds, on and off.
I have 2 speeds, fast and faster.
Thank you for being my first podcast.
Thank you for having me on the inaugural Travel with Wendy podcast.
It was great to begin with you and highlight everything you're working on. Super cool.
Very fun.
So I will see you on the trails.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, lady.
Thanks.